Doonby. I'm so glad that you really, like, you felt like you wanted to hang out with Laura Reaper, which is the character I played, because one of the first cuts of the film, because when a movie is made, they have multiple cuts, because each version you get an audience's reaction.
Right.
And from the reaction and their feedback, you then go into editing and you do new changes. And so they took the first cut all around the country, and one of the most common notes was, why would Sam Doonby fall in love with Laura Reaper? She's mean. And so they ended up taking out all of some of those moments that can really be nasty, and massaged in all the moments where it's more fun and playful, spoiled, but you've got some zest and zing, and so it warms my gosh, and she has no idea, it warms my heart to hear that you're like, dude, I'd like to hang out with Laura Reaper. Because at the end of the day, that's who she should be. She should be that person that we all want to hang out with, that we have no idea behind closed doors the deep wound that people deal with.
Right.
Which is then, what one of the cool messages of Doonby is that I love about the story is that, you need people like Sam Doonby to come along. You need, our own lives, and then we need to be to one another to really, love on people behind closed doors. We have no idea what the quiet wounds, what those quiet voids in people's hearts are, and why the choices people make on the external surface. Because most of the time people are running from something. They've got low self-esteem, feel purposeless, hopeless, and those are different things that at the core of Laura is that she struggles with. I'm so excited for John Schneider playing Sam Doonby, because I feel that this captures the charisma, the heartthrob, that effervescent joy and excitement that we saw in Dukes of Hazzard. But this is like the first feature film that he carries, that his character is that hero,
right,
with those elements. And he sings music, and he wrote one of the songs that he sang, and one of the other songs was a song that his friend wrote. And watching the film, I really hope that this movie kind of reshapes who John Schneider is now, current day, 2013, and the caliber of talent that he is, and the good-hearted person that he is. Because everyone remembers him from Dukes of Hazzard, but it would be so cool for people to be like, oh man, that's John. John was in Doonby. The producer who introduced me to Peter Mackenzie is how I got the role of Laura. We came back, after Christmas, and Mark Joseph said, Jen, would you like to come out, you and your husband like to come out and hear Robert Doonby sing? He has a Sinatra of, Doonby sings Sinatra. He's going to be playing. And so I literally thought we were going to go to like a small little, like wine bar with a couple tables, and Doonby was going to get up and sing. That was my vision. I showed up to one of the largest arenas I've ever been in Los Angeles, and he gets up on stage with this huge, full-on production, Vegas production, hence why he's been, it is, and he's electrifying. Because of the amount of energy, zeal, passion, the way his DNA, how God created him, when he sings, and his performance background as an actor, he not only demands attention, but he pulls focus from the entire room right into every single syllable that he does, which comes through voice and song, and he sounds identical to Sinatra, and it's amazing. With Ernie Hudson, it was so cool because I grew up watching Ghostbusters, so I was like, oh my goodness, it's Ernie Hudson. So I was so excited. And we were working on one of the scenes where his character may or may not have gotten shot, and the emotion, the way I perceived it would be high. And so I was emotionally preparing, and I know for me as an actor, it takes me about 5 minutes to be able to They get into character, but get into the thought life of where that character needs to be from an emotional standpoint. And Ernie he just came over and started to chit-chat, and I was getting into an emotional state. And I'm like, Ernie wants to chit-chat now, and I'm trying to, be ready for the role when we're about to shoot in 5 minutes. So I had to say, Ernie, do you think we could chat a little bit later? I'm trying to get into my imagination right now, which is how I work from. And he goes, oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. Imagination. I used to do that a long time ago.
Oh, no.
And then he comes on in, and and John are laughing and cracking jokes. And then literally, Peter McKenzie goes, okay, guys, we're ready. Cameras, get everyone rolling.
Oh, no.
And as soon as they are rolling, immediately, John and Ernie both, bam, dropped directly into character, completely into the perfect mindset, somber state, emotion, and my mouth just dropped open, going, how in the bloody world did he do that so quickly? So since then, it's been my goal to, be able to drop into character, within 30 seconds. And it's been really neat to, like Ernie gave me that gift to encourage me that, you have a skill set and you can access your imagination basically on the spot of a dime, which is incredible. Kenzie is the director from England, and my husband directed God's Country, and
right.
You chatted earlier a little bit about production quality. Doonby had an operating budget of about like $2 million, and then God's Country had an operating budget about $50,000 to about $75,000.
Yeah.
and so it's interesting with faith-based films, and I would not classify Doonby as a faith-based film. I would classify it as a movie that has elements of faith in it.
Yeah.
But faith-based, we immediately think about, at least for me, I think about the amazing movies the Kendrick brothers create, like Courageous and Fireproof. And so we as an audience have an expectancy for almost a scene of salvation. And in Doonby, you see, I love about the film, and I love how Peter McKenzie crafted it, is you see the ugliness of sin in the absence of salvation and what that does. And you see, there's so many metaphors to it that it is just really cool. One of the things I thought was hysterical was one day we were all at the bed and breakfast where all the actors stayed at, or most of us actors, called the Auberge Bed and Breakfast. In fact, they named the rooms after us. Mine was called Jenn's Retreat, and John Schneider's was called Doonby's Loft. And he's like, Jenn, how come yours was named after you and mine was named after my character? I'm like, I don't know.
Doesn't matter. I'm a girl. Just do it.
So we were there, and it was Will Wallace, John Schneider, myself, and Peter McKenzie, the director, and we were all discussing who is Sam Doonby. And what we discovered was each person had a completely different perspective of who Sam Doonby was. And, and I think that's what creates another element of the mystery of the film. Kind of like I compare it to when you look at a piece of artwork at like the Metropolitan Museum.
Oh, yeah.
You see a blob of paint and splashes of color and like a knife scraping through it, and some people will look at it
and say, my kindergartner did that.
This is a sunset. Another person was like, this is a comet exploding,
Yeah.
That's what Doonby is to so many people's lives. Like they will pull out the pieces that it's a mirror to their own life. And I love that. I just love that. It's a movie that leaves residue on your soul. And it's like when you take a shower, if you have soap residue, it gets itchy, and you gotta get that stuff off. Otherwise, you won't get back to a place of normalcy.
Yeah.
In this movie, it leaves residue on your soul where you keep processing and pondering and thinking. You wake up the next morning, and that I've heard many people do, keep digging and thinking and until they can come to their own satisfying taste and quench that their thirst is looking for, to understand the story and almost, in essence, understand what would they do if they were in that situation. Do you remember, well, I remember growing up, I don't know if you had this with your kids growing up, the books that you choose your own ending.
Yeah.
You get to chapter 43, and if you would like the character to move on to the beautiful horizon, go to page 76, you know. If you want them to die a brutal death, go to page 52, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what this movie reminds me of, that Peter Mackenzie wonderfully does, is that he crafts a way that it almost allows the audience to walk away choosing their own ending, because somehow has the flip shop ending. It puts you actually as if you're in the seat, almost as if you are, you know, the character going, whoa, oh my goodness, what would I do? What would I do? And I don't think I've ever seen a movie that does that, ever. And that's why I think it's such a provocative, impactful film. Which has been, like, that's my passion, is to be able to work on movies that can impact or inspire. For me, with acting, it actually started when I was a teenager. It really came from going to movie theaters, and when it was a very powerful, inspirational drama or dramedy, but it had a message of inspiration, I found myself walking out of the theater with several things. I had tears always coming down my eyes. I had a passion that burned in my belly, and that like electrified my entire soul, every single part of my being. And all I wanted to do was compelled to do that for other people. And I didn't really know what that was, except that it was something on screen, acting, right, modeling, pageants, all that. So I started to do all of those things, dancing for Disney, all that. And then when I started to come into my early 20s and really started to develop a closer relationship with God and going to different Bible studies, I realized what that was.
Yeah.
And it's to work on stories, playing complex protagonist roles, human interest pieces that people can relate to, identify with, and that storyline can dramatically inspire someone's life or impact someone's life for healthier living, to find deeper purpose and ways that they too can overcome the obstacles that they face, just like the characters faced on screen. And so that's really my DNA of how God has created me, is to bring that light on screen. And I've pursued excellence in my craft the best way that I know how to, probably because my high school drama teacher told me that I wasn't good enough to make it as an actor after auditioning for my high school play, and not even getting cast as the walking treat. I asked what I could do better, and she looked me in my eyes, which registered right to my heart, and she said, there's so many people out there that are trying to make it as an actor, and they haven't, and you don't have enough talent to make it as an actor either, and those guys do, and they haven't made it.
Oh, man.
And I cried, and I went home, and I prayed, and I had that summer, prior to the situation, that summer I was at a church retreat where I really developed a personal relationship with Jesus and learned how to really pray and talk to God. And I just came on my knees, face first, saying, Lord, if this is what you want, give me a sign. And out of nowhere, this idea of calling the Murder Mystery Dinner Theater at the Ramada Inn in Pennsylvania came on my heart, and I reached out, and they were casting, and I got down in my car, and I made it, and I actually was not only cast, but I was cast as one of the main characters. And that group of people mentored me and guided me and helped me and showed me different places that I could start training and learning. And so I ended up pursuing every bit of education I possibly could and graduated from two-year conservatories and got over probably 7 years of training just because I want to make sure that I'm the best that I can be when opportunities present themselves. And God gave me that affirmation when I was younger, after my drama teacher told me I wasn't good enough. And I just took it to the Lord, and it's really neat to see. It's really neat to see the fruit that has come from it. And I love using these movies for one thing. I love using them as a platform to go into schools and high schools and colleges and churches, and share my testimony and share different exercises that I've done to overcome, rejection and not having money, lack of support, feeling alone, dealing with fear, and how I've overcome that to pursue a career that's really nearly impossible. And then discuss what the characters' story are on screen and how those characters' lives can help educate us in our own walk. Not only entertain, but can really make a difference. First celebrity that I ever worked with on my first feature film called Julie and Jack, and we filmed in San Francisco, and it was this romantic drama. I think it's available on Netflix, actually.
Yes, it is.
And and it's such a funny story, is that once we got done shooting with the scenes with Tippy, the director, James Newman, drove us all up to Bodega Bay to be able to do basically interviews, like behind-the-scenes stuff. And we get to this restaurant where the Birds was filmed at, and you've got all of the pictures on the walls.
No.
And I don't think the owner of that restaurant knew that we were coming up, because it probably would have been, paparazzi and stuff there for Tippy, but there wasn't. So nobody knew, and picture this, all of these amazing photos of Tippy along the wall. She is standing with her back against the wall, so someone looking at the photos can look at Tippy in front in the photo, but they had no idea that was Tippy standing in front of them. So they're looking at these photos going, oh, wow, she was so beautiful back then. And
she's
Tippy
so beautiful now.
Perks up with this cute little smile. She goes, I still am. And the guests chuckled, and they got startled, and they're like, oh, my goodness, it's Tippy Hedren.
Oh.
And it was such a fun moment, and Tippy is such she became such a dear friend, and she taught me so many beautiful things when I was just starting my career. And in fact, we were both to receive last week by the Film Advisory Board. She was supposed to come on out as the Film Advisory Board gave me an award for my role in Doonby, and for the work that, almost like my humanitarian work of going out and trying to inspire audiences. And they gave me this award, and they were also giving an award to Tippy, and I thought it was so funny because Tippy has made such a difference in my life in the beginning of my journey, and how in the world I'm just a small little person trying so hard to make an impact in movies. How am I honored by the Film Advisory Board for a movie called Doonby alongside Tippy? It's just so cool. I worked on a music video, actually, called Break These Chains. And one thing that we learned that year with that group is that we all have creativity. God has made us. He's given us creativity, like we talked earlier on in this conversation. When you look outside, you see God's beautiful creation. You see the stars. You see the beautiful colors of the trees. You see sunshine. You see flowers. God has given us creativity. Well, when we pray and we really take our creativity before the Lord's throne and basically surrender and ask the Holy Spirit to move through us, it ends up becoming a divine inspiration. And the only way I could describe it is if somebody imagines as if you just kind of fall back into God's arms and allow God to move through you. A lot of times painters experience this when they're painting. They feel like there's this supernatural source that comes over them and they're painting. As actors, I learned that year about this beautiful thing, and when I remembered to do that while I was shooting, I literally feel the Holy Spirit, Jesus the Spirit, prompting me, guiding me in choices. And we originally, we met through Doonby, through one of those big climactic emotional scenes. so many of those moments, it was literally, I heard God say, I want you to slap John now. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. I want you to do this crazy thing with the guitar. I mean, all of that stuff was not planned. It was all prompted. I really truly believe like God was just guiding me and using me to be able to help tell that story. And so I bring all of that up because the 168-hour film project, it teaches real amazing life application producing skills that your daughter or anyone else interested in producing can walk away and not only apply just on that film, but can apply on a greater career perspective going forward. Gosh, it's incredible. And that's, I think, again, the website's 168project.com.
So was the guitar scene, was that in your script?
Now, the breaking
really
of the guitar was in the script.
Okay.
So, as Laura Reaper, I knew I needed to build an anger or some sort of emotion to physically break the guitar. And in the script, it's written, these elements of she believes, Laura Reaper thinks that Sam Doonby is cheating on her after finding, all of these little clues. And in the script, it's written, does it look like I want any coffee? Which when she picks up and pours herself some wine. So these are points that Peter Mackenzie wrote in the script. And so I looked at those as guidelines. And I just really, literally right when cameras are rolling and period's rolling, actually, my prayer is like, Lord, I just pray right now that I just die to myself and you just move through me, God, that I can hear you and guide my performance. And that's my prayer, and I try so hard to remember to pray that every moment right before the director yells action. And when I remember to do that, there are some very unique, organic things that come out of nowhere that I just know is God's divine inspiration through it. And yeah, like that scene, Peter Mackenzie in Doonby, that scene, Peter Mackenzie, he literally left the video village where you see the feed coming in from both of the cameras, because he was so emotionally torn up inside.
Wow.
Because somehow whatever the heck I was doing or whatever was coming out of my character Laura Reaper,
it touched him.
It hit a deep chord in real life experiences that he may have experienced or seen someone experience or heard someone experience. And he was explaining that it took him a moment to recalibrate and refocus to get back into the director's seat. And he even said when he was editing that scene, it was really painful for him to continue to watch because it continued to trigger pain.
That gives me chills.
Wow. So with that, I look at that as fruit. And I really pray, so one of my heartstrings that I really hope for the movie Doonby is that if someone wrestles with addiction, maybe they could see this, and maybe they may not realize how ugly their behavior can be when alcohol or drugs get involved. And maybe that can be a cathartic jolt to help someone realize, oh my goodness, I don't want to do this to the ones I love anymore. And maybe that can take them that next step forward to getting counseling and getting healing, getting therapy, going to AA. Or those who do struggle with an addiction, who are on the other side, maybe that scene would be that good foundation for them to remember, no, I'm not going to pick up that next drink. I'm not going to do that next line of drugs. I'm not going to, choose this scandalous activity because I remember the detriments of what that caused. Because so much of our life, we see images, and those images can really help, make changes and better choices in our life. So it's so interesting when I look at that scene and where I believe the true inspiration came when it was from God, and that was a spiritual lesson I learned in 2008 in a 168 film project. So it's with all of that to say, I really encourage your daughter or anyone else who's seeking filmmaking to do a 1/6/8 film project, because there's life-lasting lessons that you learn as an artist. I think as you start to recognize accolades or a level of fame or success associated with a person, it somehow detaches you from relating just as a friend to a friend, and it almost, the relationship becomes more of an idol. Not that you want to idolize someone, but it's an inability to know how to relate, because you feel as if this individual has obtained a level that you, it's almost like a pedestal. Even though, like these artists, when they're saying, how can you, I'm just, you're lovely Joe Blow, because nobody, well, hopefully, they don't see themselves as a pedestal, they just see themselves as a friend. But when an individual looks up, it creates that inferiority. And so, my gosh, my biggest encouragement is just to know that, everybody, if people are coming from a good servant heart of trying to live life as an example like Jesus lives, which is loving people unconditionally without judgment and having grace, and you really come in from that aspect, it's just developing a new friendship. And you just have some cool things you could chat about artwork that you enjoyed. Here's two little trivia pieces, because you're such a fan and a journey of supporting music and artists. The one song that John Schneider sings for the first time in Doonby, when they give him the guitar and say, "Oh, let's see if you can play."
Something about his month not meeting his.
John wrote the day before. He wrote that song the day before, and it is the most funny, charming song I have ever heard from a country song. It was so cool.
It sounded so country. Like, it was like something about your month running out before your month.
At the end of the money.
Too much month at your end of your money. I was like, that is so country and so true.
Like you're spending too much money, honey.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the lyrics. I'm so not.
That was so clever. It was very
the
clever.
song at the end, right before one of the last songs that John plays, is a song that his friend wrote. And that was an original piece of music that he sung. And so John Schneider is an amazing artist and a musician, and it's great that you get to see that in the work that he does in Doonby, in this movie, playing Doonby as the hero character, similar to that charm that we saw as Bo Duke and Dukes of Hazzard. You see him as Doonby and also playing music. So it's just such a, for John, this was so much fun for him to be able to, just to be able to do all that in a film. It was real cool. Doonby's website has all of the listing of the theaters, and they're doing something that's very innovative and new for any sort of filmmakers, which is amazing. They're using Tug.
Yeah, I saw the Tug.
As a distribution source. And what that is, when we go to Orbitz and we get a plane or we get to book a hotel, Tug does that for movie theaters. So you've got these big cineplexes that has 15 to 23 screens in it. Every week, all of those screens are not full all the time. So they're actually losing money because they don't have enough movies to fill those screens. Or they may have the movies, but they don't have the bodies coming in to fill and buy tickets and popcorn. So Tug arranges with those movie theaters what screens are available, and then anybody can basically tug any movie that's in the Tug catalog to that theater. So say like in Detroit, Michigan, Doonby's not playing, let's say if it's not playing there, you literally can request Doonby to play maybe on like Thursday night at 7 o'clock on such and such day, and then they would arrange that. It's completely free, and then they'll give you a link, and then you share that link with everyone, and you have to get about 80 tickets pre-sale. So people would have to go ahead and purchase their tickets in advance. Once there's 80 tickets sold, that event is now confirmed. Now let's say, hypothetically, only 60 people actually purchase tickets. Then the event will be canceled, and everyone will be informed that the event was canceled, and they will be refunded the credit card, the money that they gave. So it's really a win-win all around. And like for 80 tickets, it's almost like, I think I counted, it's like 20 families of 4, to be able to go see the film. And that's how Doonby is releasing, and it comes to theaters November 1st, but it's also in the Tug catalog for, I think, several months. So like in November, mid-November, or in December, so you wanted to have Doonby come to your theater, you can Tug it. And what I'm trying to do is arrange with several people up and down the East Coast to do a Doonby tour. So it'll Tug to a theater, and then I will come out, do a Q&A, and do a little bit of my Inspiring Audiences program and an interactive exercise to help people, really figure out what their calling is in life, and, start to put a little plan together for that. And I'm looking to do that as a way to be able to give back and really just use Doonby as a ministry opportunity. It's actually so easy that it's amazing. The thought kind of seems a little overwhelming and intimidating, but the steps to do it is so easy. So you would go to Doonby.com. There's a button that says Get Involved. And then once you hit the Get Involved button, it takes you to a screen. And one of the screens shows a picture of a movie theater saying, "Bring Doonby to a movie theater." And you click that button. It'll then take you to Tug website. And then there's a button that says Request a Theater. You click that button. You enter your zip code. It will show you the movie theaters in your location. Wow. And then you'll click the movie theater that you would like to request. You click the date and the time, and you send that in, and then somebody from Tug will verify and confirm, send you back a link, and it's now a live event. And so now you take that link, and you could tweet it, Facebook it, email it. It's just people need to purchase tickets in advance to be able to confirm the show. I actually would have people head to my Facebook page,
okay,
because I'm interacting with that on a daily basis.
I see
Some
that.
people
Yeah.
have other people helping them, but no, that's me. I interact on my Twitter, and I interact on my Facebook, and people would just type in Jenn Gotzon, Jenn, and then Gotzon is Gotzon, the 2 O's, and Gotzon and 2 N's, and Jenn, and bada bing, bada boom, they should find me there. And my website's JennGotzon.com. And I have a newsletter that is on my Facebook page, or also on my Twitter, thing that people can sign up for. And what that is because I've got 9 films coming out, and if people are interested in movies that can really, are socially relevant, that can inspire and impact people, if they sign up, then what I'm doing is sending out movie invites when it's releasing in their area or for premieres. And so I don't spam people. I just try to let people know when the films are coming out. So
that's cool.
That movie interests them and their family. And it's weird because Doonby and Dragon Day come out November 1st in theaters on the same day.
Wow.
And Dragon Day is this cool cyber hack thriller movie about what would we do if China took over America through the use of technology. Because every piece of media technology that we have, not media, every piece of technology is operated by a chip. And that chip is made from China. And so what if there was a virus in that chip that China just took control of everything? They would shut us down. And they could basically overrule America.
Wow.
And so that's what Dragon Day. Earlier on in our chat, we talked about how, like, 168 Film Project, that festival, that year I prayed in 2008, to be a part of something spiritually excellent and then something technically excellent. Well, Stained was the answer to the technically excellent prayer, as that movie is an allegory, basically, of the gospel. And Stained is a really cool metaphor and allegory of our sin, and how through freedom of choice, do we choose the Father or do we not? Do we choose to live in a life of darkness and depression and oppression with, festering sores? Or do we choose freedom and the grace of God to be able to be removed from that situation? And it's a short film, and that movie actually is where I started my Inspiring Audiences program, for which I've traveled across the country, mostly in New Orleans, to all the high schools down there, helping people after Hurricane Katrina, where we show that film, and because it's a short, then afterwards I do this interactive exercise, and I share a little bit of my testimony. And so that film you can see on the 168 website, and I think it's in the 2008 catalog. And I think the running time's about maybe 10 or 11 minutes on it. And there's been a lot of awards. In fact, that's so cool. This movie actually made cinematic history, being the first film to ever be shot on the red camera to win a film festival.
Really?
And so it's kind of a neat little mark on that one.
That's so cool.
Yeah, Stained is on the 168 website, so it would be 168film.com.
Okay.
And then it's under the 2008 catalog, I believe. If any of your listeners, have high schools or colleges that they have influence on, contact us, as we would love to be able to bring this movie to the high school, to the college. I would love to come out with it and do a Q&A, and then really share ideas and strategies to help people overcome, obstacles, so they could really live that calling and that purpose in their life. Because I think this movie, it's huge for all audiences, but think of the difference that it can make in a high schooler's life about to go into adulthood, or college age, where you're right now making those decisions. That is your world. It's compelling, and it could really change the track of someone's decision making going forward. Not only, countless lives, being saved all over the place from, one of the main subjects of the film. Out of the Ashes is the name of the movie, and Alan Powell is the lead actor, and he plays the role of Clayton, and he does a fabulous, just amazing job. I have a very tiny role in the film. I play his wife, and the story of the film is this. Clayton, played by Alan Powell, he loses his wife and his 5-year-old child to a drunk driving accident, and grieving from the resentment and the pain of loss, he goes out trying to seek revenge and sees a girl named Amala being abused, running out of the house with her little daughter, and he ends up taking them to safety. And during this time of taking them to safety, you have two broken people starting to develop friendship and safety within one another, and almost a romance starts to bud as Clayton's character gets torn if he's ready to move on because of the loss of his wife. And so and then finally he experiences that freedom to move on, to pursue, health and romance again. And so my character is his wife Mary, and so we had, I only worked there one day, and so, but one of the most fun scenes was, it was like a flashback of Clayton and Mary, having, just fun, romance. You could just see the beautiful love of a husband and a wife.
Yeah.
On the screen. And so we played air baseball, and tackles and all sorts of fun
I saw that.
And it was just lots of life and love. And then there's other scenes where, you know, it depicts that, you know, we're in heaven, or an essence of, you know, somewhere else, of holiness, of beauty, almost like in God's creation. And, you know, they wish, you know, for Clayton to continue to move on, him and his family. I just got done filming a pilot in Buffalo, New York called Heaven Help Us. It's a brilliant, awesome TV pilot. It is so funny. It's a sitcom, and it has a lot of people from TV land, like Lee Merriweather.
Oh,
remember,
no.
like, the original Catwoman? She plays
gosh.
my grandma, and then Nancy Stafford is one of the creators of the show, and people would remember her from Matlock, and she plays my mom. And then Eddie Mecca, he's also in it. People remember him as the Big Ragu from Laverne and Shirley.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, yeah.
Nobody can forget that face.
Is created by Greg Robbins, and it'll be filmed in Buffalo. And they're in the process of shopping around to multiple networks. People are very interested in it. So hopefully how the TV world works, hopefully things will go into contract and will go into production the start of this coming year. Oh my gosh, it's like it's a story. Oh my gosh, the TV show is hysterical. It's a family of empty nesters, or like the husband and wife, played by Greg Robbins and Nancy Stafford. They've got 4 kids, and they're so excited that finally the last one is going to college. And
I know that feeling.
they send her off to college, and then literally within hours, the one girl who is like the superficial shopaholic comes home. Mom, I lost my job. I'm moving back in. And then literally the next morning, the son comes home, burnt to pieces, to a crisp and a fry, and he's like, my apartment just burnt down. Can I move back in?
Oh, no.
And then my character, she has a little girl, and her husband, they just learned that he has just been deployed to Iraq. And so she's struggling emotionally with the loss of her husband going, because he was just about to come out of the army. And so being daddy's girl, they say, of course, you could come back in. So she moves in now with her daughter. And then the 4th girl who's just been to college, this is her boyfriend, and moves back home the same day. And then within hours, and everyone's under the same roof, ding dong, the mother-in-law with her cat, the mother-in-law from hell, they like each other, moves in. And hence the show is Heaven Help Us. So